We call this meeting to order. Invocation, Mr. Don, would you please bless the meeting?
Yes, sir. Father in heaven, creator of all things, we thank you for this time we can meet, do the business of Cherokee Nation. We ask now that you bless each of us, especially with our visitors today. Pray that they will help us in the deliberations. Father, I want to thank you for blessings you bestow upon our tribe. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Roll call.
Joe Bird, Don Garvin, Bill England, Jack Baker,
Here.
Julia Coates, Jody Fishinghawk, here, Meredith Fraley, here, Janelle Fulbright, here, Frankie Hargis, present, Chuck Hopkins Jr.,
Here.
Connor Gordon, present, Lee Keener, Dick Blake,
Here.
Curtis Snell,
Here.
David Thornton,
Here.
David Walking Stick, Karen Callan Watts. We have a form.
Now to approval of minutes. They were mailed to you. This time I entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Second. Motion. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, reports. Talking leaves. Ms. Diane Kelly.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Darrell Legg wanted me to let you all know that as soon as things were passed on his carryover funds, he would be looking at the vocational training applications, because I think some of you all have been calling him about that. So I told him you can't actually obligate anything until it actually goes through the process. He's got a bunch of people on hold, so if you'll bear with him, he'll get those people processed. We are going to start some apprenticeship training, electrical, plumbing, and a machinist program. We're working right now with Cherokee Nation Industries, and we met last week on some conference calls, and we've been meeting with the VOTEC schools. So we're actually going to start some apprenticeship journeyman training. I met with John Overacker this morning, so he can weigh in on that as well. Jay Littlejohn was notified by the Department of Labor 3 weeks ago that they are asking all Job Corps, all 120 Job Corps in the nation, to pull back some of their money. So they pulled back about $58,000 of our contract. The reason for that is because they switched over about 5 or 6 years ago from ETA, which is Employment Training Administration, over to the Secretary of Labor. And now they're switching back to ETA. When they switched back, because of some of the positions that had been done away with, they had to recreate those positions, so all of the contractors had to pull monies back in. And there was a conference call last Thursday where they were going to look at pulling 2% more. And so we started moving to get all of our raises for the staff over at Job Corps in this past week. So we're working to get that. It's nothing that we had anything to do with. It's all the contracts because of their switchover. Luckily, we had the money there. Students will be out during July the 2nd through the 23rd for the summer break, and our graduation is being scheduled for August the 17th. We received word that the Department of Labor is going to extend our on-the-job training NEG grant that was through the ARA funds. It will go through September the 30th. And we have till September 30th to try to spend any of that money that's still sitting there. And our review that was supposed to last for about a week went down to 3 days. When the guy showed up, he was only here about 1 day, probably 2 hours the next morning, then he left. So that's probably a good sign, we think.
Was it because we made a good impression?
Well, we provided him with a thick notebook that had every one of the training contracts. We had pictures. We had all of the training schedules and all of the participants. We had the whole 9 yards for him. So if he took that notebook back with him, he had more than probably what he got at any of the other places. So we made sure that he had that when he was here. We have T-shirts. I'm going to show them to you. One of the things that we do is we try to get in as many programs as we can. Talking Leaves sponsored our T-shirts for summer youth this year. And if you'll notice, it says Talking Ladies Job Corps with our telephone number down here. And we've got that on there so that we can help recruit for Job Corps. So all of the 600 kids that we have on the summer youth program is going to obtain a summer youth shirt. That says Summer Youth from One Fire to a Proud Future. And then it's got the Cherokee Nation seal on this. And the kids will get to pick either an orange or a blue one. And at the same time, when they're out wearing these, they're going to be recruiting for us at Job Corps. So this is what we call teamwork.
Which one of those is the thunder color?
Well, I think they both are. By the way, I have to point this out. One of our tarot vendors, Tracy Copeland with TGI out of Tulsa, won the contract to make the T-shirts for the Thunder. At midnight, after the Thunder won and beat the Western Conference, she called all of her staff in at midnight, and they cranked out 10,000 shirts from midnight to 6 o'clock the next morning. She also got the bid for the shirts right after the Heat and the Celtics game. She got the bid for the T-shirt where it's going to have the Heat on one side and the Thunder on the other. She's also put a bid in for the national championship shirts. So anyway, hopefully we'll get some of those down here. We're working on it. So if you guys want a shirt and you want to help recruit for Job Corps, but at the same time, summer youth, if you'll let Shelley know what color you want and what size, we'll get you a shirt. But Lee, you can't have both. Because we've got 600 kids.
Those come in Indian size?
Yeah, we have a lot of fry bread queens and kings. That was me. I said, make sure you get enough for these fry bread queens because I'm one of them. Anything else? You have any questions?
Good report, Diane.
Thank you.
Lee, do you have a question for us?
Well, I just have one comment. Thank you. We were able to go to a GED graduation, and I really enjoyed that, and I really appreciate the change that's going to happen in those young people's lives, getting to go through with that, what you are providing that. So, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Executive Director Support, Dr. Morton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, council members. You have the report from Education Services. We have to try to answer questions. I do have 1, 2, or 3 updates I'd like to provide that we, of course, did not have at the time of the report submission. We did finish the scholarship application process last Friday. Of course, this is our first year to go online. A few glitches, but overall positive. Give you an example. On Friday, we had 617 students who submitted an application online on that one day. We had 95 who came to the office. Last year at this time, they would have all been in the office. And we had so many people in years past that we couldn't deal with them. But this year we didn't hit a time when all of the computers were occupied for students who came in to, check FAFSA and so forth. Now, as with any new venture, though, you encounter certain things that you didn't expect, both from positive aspect and negative. One change that we will be making is that we will drop the requirements for a letter of recommendation and an essay, because that's a little bit of a problem on scanning, and I don't see that it really makes that much difference. We didn't get any letters that said I wouldn't give this kid a scholarship. So I don't really think there's a great deal of merit to that. It perhaps would prepare them for later requirements of life when they're applying for jobs or for that, and I'm sure that's really was added. But for our technology, I would suggest that we not require that in the future. Also, next year we'll be setting up some mobile sites on a periodic basis. We owe a great vote of thanks to public schools this year for making computers accessible, and also for counselors to help students. It's been overall a very good experience. So that magic number that we have right now is 4,070 applications. That would represent a little over or a little less 300 over last year. Our camps, cultural camps, are really doing well. We're in Dewey this week. Finished up Dwight Mission last week. I'm sorry, we finished up Dewey last week. We're in Concord this week. We've spent a week at Dwight, a week at Dewey, and now we're at Concord. And we'll be at Rogers State University, and then we'll have the big camp out of part of the hills. We'll have approximately 400 in that camp. So that pretty well wraps up the additions to my report. But if you have questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Councilor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations. I think that's a huge accomplishment. Received and processed that many online applications. I mean, that's just outstanding. The inevitable question then comes, and I apologize, but if you've already said it, but could you reiterate, if we get those that say, well, I missed the deadline, how do you and your team want us to deal with that?
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one thing I left out. Many of those 4,070 apps may have one little thing missing or something, so we will contact those students, and we'll have a 10-day window that they can fill in that additional information. And that's what we do with those that may have been, for instance, I ran into one last week that had been out of the country on a mission trip, and they were still on the mission trip. They weren't here yet. But I said, hey, when you get here, we'll take care of it. So for those that have a legitimate reason for being late, just tell them to contact the College Resource Center, and we'll take care of it. Now they can't do it online because that thing shut off at midnight. We did have staff, by the way, stay with the situation until midnight Friday night when it shut down. So, but hey, as always, there will be some of those special instances.
I think that's reasonable, especially since our first year to launch fully online. What about the ones that inevitably come to us and say, oh, there's a deadline, or I didn't know it was June 8th? How would you like us to proceed with those students?
Have them contact.
Just have them contact. Okay. Then one last question. Well, first a comment. First of all, thank you for sending Lisa Trice-Turtle to our hog fry on Saturday. People really appreciate her being there, and in particular, she's outstanding. She helped recruit. I think there were 18 slots at that point left for the RSU camp. Do you know if those have been filled or not, or is there an opportunity? Because I think that starts next week.
I'm not sure.
Okay. If there are slots left and we can help recruit for those, if somebody would contact us by email, that would be great.
Good. I'll check on that and be in touch with you.
But thank you again for sending that, because I know it takes a lot on Saturday, but we really appreciated it. So,
And our girls do a good job too.
You're welcome.
Outstanding.
Thank you for the 10-day window. Do we have a question? Sorry about that. Counselor?
No, I just want to congratulate Dr. Morton on a job well done. And 3 years ago, you came down to Sequoia County and met with all of our counselors. And since then, it has taken a great burden off of me and Counselor Thornton answering questions, because those counselors really got on the ball after you met with them and updated them with everything. And
Good crew. They work together well enough.
I really appreciate what you did, and we're still seeing the effects of it, and they're reaching out to many people thanks to you, and I really do appreciate the job you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Morton. Head Start, Miss Verna Thompson. It's been a while, Verna. It's good to see you
Good
again.
to see you. Welcome back. Any questions? If there aren't any questions?
Head Start was always number one in the nation. Are we still?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Ask Councilman Jordan.
Okay. That's what I like to hear. I mean, we don't need that.
I want to remind you that the policy council meeting is June 20th, a message from Cheryl.
Okay. 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 No further questions? Thank you very much, Verna. Leadership, Mr. Mark Skinner.
Mr. Speaker, councilors, at last month's meeting, you had invited members of the Tribal Youth Council to attend, and we have in the audience the sponsor for Cherokee Nation, Patrick Hill, and he's brought with him a member of the Tribal Youth Leadership Council. So if there are questions relating to the Tribal Youth Council, we can invite them up to present as needed.
Okay.
But you have a copy of the monthly report. If there are specific questions, one thing I did want to update the body on is the removal bike riders are traveling today from Illinois to Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So sometime this evening they should be arriving just north of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and they're scheduled to be back next Friday. And we're anticipating the ceremony to receive the riders next Friday at approximately 10:30 a.m. Of course, the closer they get, we'll have a more specific time, but right now we're estimating approximately 10:30 a.m. and that return ceremony will be at the courthouse square.
Councilor Hargis.
Yes, I attended the Five Civilized Tribes Intertribal Council meeting in Norman this last week, and they are also wanting to do a youth council. So we gave them Patrick's name for contact, and they'll be contacting him. Just let you know.
Good. Great. Any other questions? Good job.
Okay, would you like to have Mr. Hill
Yes,
come up at this time?
Yes,
Okay.
have them just give us a little maybe update on what they've been doing, and we'll go from there.
In case y'all haven't met Brian Barlow, he is from District 1 and lives here in Tahlequah. Kind of give y'all an update of where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're going. Last 2 or 3 years, the Youth Council took on the name Youth Leadership Council, and it changed dramatically from its roots. Its roots were founded in elections out in the communities, and it changed dynamics and took on. We started going with a selection committee, and there was it started losing some of its momentum when the program was changed. The program was changed to lower age group, 15 to 18 instead of 15 to 22. And a lot of our mentors were lost in that process. And so we recognized that was a problem, so we changed it back to the way it was. And we reverted its name back to Tribal Youth Council. We dropped the word leadership out of it. We have another program George runs that's a leadership program, intern program. I think they were over visiting this morning. And there's a lot of ambiguity with that because there's too many programs using the word leadership in them, so we've started losing some focus. So last year, the Youth Council was tasked to update their bylaws to reflect kind of the new direction and getting it back on track because it could, like I said, it lost a lot of its focus. And so at the end of the year, their terms expired on December 31st, and they hadn't been able to convene to modify their bylaws to extend their terms or whatever. So the council just went away, and their goal was to go back to elections, but they didn't modify the bylaws to reflect that. So basically what we did is January 1st is we convened ad hoc reorganization committee. And a number of the students, 7 active participants from previous years, have come together, and they've been diligently working to reorganize, get the bylaws fixed, get us back on track with elections. And so this year's been really focused on, we've been working with the web development group to establish an online election process so the students will be able to register online, run for office online, and then eventually it'll be, I can give you kind of a timeline too on that. We anticipate the registration system going live on July 2nd. Declaration of candidacy, there will be a window from August 1st to September 14th. It's a 45-day window. And then the elections will actually take place for 1 week in September 17th through the 21st. The Youth Council decided in their reconstruction of the bylaws to have 20 seats elected, and an interesting idea was presented to create provisional memberships, which allow for students that can't commit to coming to all the events and all the activities, and we can have an unlimited number of provisional members so that other students that want to participate but can't commit to that time frame can participate. And it kind of like a trial basis, as you would. So we have 3 of our youth council members right now are actually on the bike ride. Eric Butter, Clay Rudolph, and Danielle Culp are out riding on the ride. Some of our major activities that we have planned each year, of course, is we're involved with the Unity organization of Oklahoma City, have been for over 20 years. We attend the Unity Annual Conference. This next conference will be July 5th to the 10th. And we also attend we take 2 of the students to the Unity Mid-Year Conference, which is usually in D.C. each February or March. We're also, as of last year, we started getting aligned with NCAI Youth Commission, and we want to increase our efforts in that area and try to get at least 1 or 2 members attending those on a regular basis. And so we're targeting the 2013 Tulsa meeting to be at that.
Have we ever had any of our youth on the NCAI youth board?
Not that I'm aware of.
Council.
We want to get
I plan
students
to run
involved.
next year.
Good.
Position.
Good.
So we're targeting that. Also in the report that we had submitted, we're looking to also expand and do a internship opportunity for a month to work with the Washington, D.C. office. Brian actually suggested that, and of course it wasn't in the budget for this year, but we'd like to extend the budget next year and do that, because that would be a good opportunity to get the youth in our D.C. office. For 2012, looking forward, we really, really, really want to see the youth mirroring the tribal council and being engaged in every activity that exists in the community. If you have an activity or opportunity at a community meeting, we really want those communication to those counselors so we can really stay connected, because we want to see them participating in all the activities that they can be involved in the community.
Will any of the youth be attending the tri-council meeting?
We're planning to take, we're hoping to take 7 with us, the 7 active participants, to go there that week. So
And it's the same week as Unity, so it'd be easier just to
well, it's
one round trip.
we'll be going to Unity on the 5th, and then on the 10th flying directly to Cherokee. So.
Okay, good.
And we're also, one of the things we always stay mindful of is the redistricting. As redistricting takes place, we always want to keep in alignment with the council as well.
I have a question. Councilor Fishman?
have it in the budget to attend tri-council?
I don't think it was necessarily, we don't have a budget that's line itemed out. Charles Head is working on trying to make sure there's funds. I'm pretty sure there is. I talked to Joe last week, and he said that they thought the money was there in our leadership budget. They're just wanting to make sure that there's no encumbrances on it first, but 99% probability that we're going. So.
And we was just now talking when the young man here decides to run, we need to hook him up with Diane Kelly out there at NCAI so she can make you sheriffs, mayors,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Councilor Walker?
Patrick, how are you going to advertise this election process into the public schools?
We will be, actually, we're working with Leanne, Dreadful Water, over in communications to push out through the media, our standard media push. So we'll have press releases going out as well. We'll also be emailing all the schools in the area as well and sending notes and letters.
It was my suggestion that we kind of run a campaign. Maybe a couple of us youth counselors could visit some of the local schools, and maybe some of their like start of the year assemblies, we could work something in. Because I know something doesn't really affect me unless I hear like kind of the character and the wisdom out of it. Someone speaking to me about it and someone's experience. So emails to counselors sometimes fall out. So I think that personal connection is important.
Okay. A question from Counselor Speaker here, Jordan. Then we have Counselor Watts next.
I believe the leadership group is going to get a bus from Sequoia, is that right? What they were talking about this morning?
Yes.
So there will probably be room for your people to go with them to try. So you're going to fly?
We were going to fly direct from Phoenix, since we'll be kind of in a weird position.
Okay.
We were looking at flying back and then taking a GSA out, but it was going to be more expensive.
Councilor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have an overall budget yet? Because one of the things that I've struggled with on youth council is we shouldn't have our leadership doing all this work and then doing small fundraisers on an ongoing basis and detracting from the actual leadership opportunities.
We actually haven't done any fundraising. We've talked about doing some fundraising opportunities, but the youth council in the past, as long as I can remember back, it only has a budget of just less than $9,000, some $8,000 some odd dollars. And when I took over the program, I looked at that number and I was like, that's just so low. How do you do anything? I mean, that won't even pay. That barely pays for their flights to Unity each year. And we're looking at 20 students. If we were to take 20 students to Unity anywhere in the country, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 minimum for something like that. So the program has been severely under budgeted, but the leadership budget has been kind of apparent to our line item budget. And they've basically in the past it's been shored up with the leadership budget. And I think the objective right now is to get through this fiscal year with the budget we have and then restructure it for next year is my understanding. Major restructure for next year.
Okay. So that means that at comprehensive budget time, which is quickly approaching, you will have a budget that covers all this, so we're not coming back and forth.
I think that's a question
Asking
for
for
Charles
money,
Head.
or sending our young leadership out doing weekly taco fundraisers.
I don't see them doing taco fundraisers. I don't see them doing taco fundraisers.
But the thing on fundraisers, though, is I don't think they're necessarily all about raising funds. A lot of it is just getting out in the community and making the community aware of your presence. So I wouldn't want to cut fundraisers altogether, because you really have to be able to, I mean, you could call it community service. We could just cut out the word fundraisers if you want. But it's important for us to be out there where the people of the community know we're present and the youth of the community know they have someone representing for them. So I would still keep those in mind.
Very good.
Mr. I'm not opposed to fundraisers. I'm opposed to taking honor students from Rogers County and making them drive an hour and a half every month for something.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Yeah,
Yes,
I totally
thank you.
get you there.
Okay.
Get you there.
Thank you.
And actually, I think, and I'm not sure, I'm not rightly in the loop on the exact details of our restructuring of the budget. I just know that they're in the process of changing that up. So.
Good. Any more questions? Very good report. Appreciate that.
Y'all have any other questions? Let us know.
Thank you. Cultural and Tourism, Miss Molly Jarvis. Miss Donna Barker Harrell.
Do you recognize to say one thing?
Sure.
This is recipient of the Gate Scholarship.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We submitted our report and a couple of highlights from that report. We were here last in March, reported to this committee, and since then we have opened the Cherokee National Prison Museum on May 1st, And we were presented last week at the State Historic Preservation Conference here in Tahlequah with an award for the preservation work done at that site. Another thing that happened during the month of May was we launched a program called the Compass Program, which focuses more on individual sales of our tour sites in the collective, where you get 4 museum admissions for one tour booklet. It also lists about 107 things that are free or very low cost to do within the entire 14 counties. So those are available at our retail locations. And then we also received a Red Bud Award, which is from the State Tourism Department for our brochures regarding cultural tourism. One other thing I will share with you today is had someone that I know visit Dallas this weekend and found this article about us in the Dallas Morning News. So that was just from this past Saturday. So that was from a travel writer who visited the Cherokee Heritage Center and took some of our cultural tours, and was an article regarding the program and the Heritage Center in the Dallas paper this weekend.
Any questions for Miss Molly Jarvis? Good job.
Thank you very much.
Old business, we have none pending. New business, we did get our report from the Youth Leadership Council, so yes, Diane.
Mr. Chairman, I just forgot, when Patrick was talking about the interns, I just wanted to mention that George Roach told me to tell you that he would be bringing his interns to the council meeting tonight. And ours are summer youth employment, and theirs is more on careers. And there's 30 of them in the program this year. This is the biggest group we've ever had. And there's some really good candidates in that program. Hopefully some of them will apply for the youth council later on.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Announcements? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion. Gina Hodges.
Aye.